Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srivate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravari Prajalire Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Nishatharine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitya Gora Hariva, 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 Gora Hariva. Hariva, Gora Hariva. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajacharya Astotar Sata Shri Sriman His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Nindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai. Vaishnav Sangha Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru and Garanga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let me see what you're going to say. Oh, it's too long. Summarize. You don't need all this stuff. It's not some of this.
Hare Krishna. So let us welcome His Grace Anuttam Prabhu. I'll give a small brief introduction to Prabhuji. Prabhuji was a student of Michigan State University in USA and came to ISKCON in 1975, got initiated by Srila Prabhupada in 1976, and Prabhuji relocated in Washington DC.
You were born after 1970. Raise your hand if you've been alive on this body before 1976. Anybody? Boy. Good. And he's a Brahmacharya, still looks young.
I thought you were saying you weren't alive.
Wasn't.
I was alive. Okay, I was.
Born before 1976.
And Prabhuji then has been a member of GBC since 2000, and his assignments, GBC assignments are all in USA, Delaware, Maryland and Washington DC. Also Prabhuji is co-GBC for West Virginia. And so besides Prabhuji's GBC duties, Prabhuji is also currently serving as ISKCON's International Director for Communications and is on the board of Bhaktivedanta College in Belgium. He is also founding member of Children of Krishna and the Grihastha Vision team, and also involved with many interfaith initiatives in USA. And apart from that, Prabhuji has been instrumental in many things, especially developing ISKCON Communications Journal also, has authored many articles in that. And we ourselves also, we attended Prabhuji's course on ISKCON Communications during our Leads program. And after attending that, I felt as a ISKCON member, it is such an important responsibility to go through this course for every devotee at different levels at their maturity level. Because what we represent, what we carry is very high class. But it has to be presented also to the world outside very nicely. So I remember Prabhuji, couple of things I'll tell very quickly. Prabhuji showed one excerpt and said that you read this excerpt, and then after reading that excerpt you will feel it is some Christian, famous saint has written some paragraph that in this place of worship of God and I adore my God, this and that. So like that the whole paragraph goes. And at the end Prabhuji asks, who's written this paragraph? And that is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And has written the paragraph in such a way that here I am in this church, in yet another place of worship of my God, like that. So Prabhuji opened our vision that when you are even visiting other places of worship, either church or anywhere, how you have to mentally be ready and be accommodatable and friends with them. And in our conversation with Prabhuji was in US at that time, so we had a video conferencing with Prabhuji. Then Prabhuji, we asked a question, Prabhuji, that somebody asked a question in the leads group, that Prabhuji, if we say that I am Hindu, I'm not Hindu, then people say, okay, if you are not Hindus, then we will not help you. Then how should we address? And Prabhuji very, very maturely, immediately, promptly answered that, like in Christian, somebody asks me, I am a Christian, then Prabhuji said, yes, I say Christian, yes, I am a Christian, I am a Baptist. So like that people say. Similarly, you can say that, yes, I am a Hindu, I am a Vaishnava. So within Hindu, you can very clearly say that, I am a Vaishnava. Still keep your identity also in line with Srila Prabhupada's desire that we are Vaishnava. So like this, Prabhuji is the ocean of very practical, smart techniques of presenting ourselves as ISKCON to the outside world and gaining a lot of respect for the ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada. So let us welcome Prabhuji by loudly chanting 3 times. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
And I respond to thank you. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So I was going to read a little bit from Bhagavad Gita. Maybe for sake of time, I'll just read the Sanskrit to the first verse, and then I'm going to read a little bit of one purport and discuss. So, beginning 12th chapter, text 8. So the topic I was given was loyalty versus broad-mindedness. And I asked them, I said, this is not a good title. It doesn't make sense. It should be loyalty and broad-mindedness. So you'll see from what I speak, okay? So you can just, is it there? We can say this one together. 12:8, yeah? Okay, well, I'll just say it together. Maeva mana adhatsva mai bodham neveshaya nivashishasi maeva atta ordvam nasamshayaha. So Lord Krishna says, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Okay? So Krishna is instructing Arjuna, chapter 12, devotional service for us as Vaishnavas, practitioners of bhakti. Chapter 12 is very important. So Krishna says just. If you say just, that means only, yeah? So he says only do this. Just fix your mind on me, engage all your intelligence in me, and live in me always without a doubt. So that's basically the conclusion of the Gita, right? That's the ultimate, same thing, 18th chapter also. Abandon everything, just surrender to me. So just ask a simple question. Please be honest. Who here would like to acknowledge in front of everybody else in the room that your mind is always fixed on Krishna? Anybody here whose mind is always fixed on Krishna? If there's someone here, I will happily sit on the floor and listen to you speak. None of us, right? Our minds aren't so fixed in Krishna. So, what do? This is Krishna's instruction, but we can't do it. So then, okay, we're finished because we're disobeying God, right? Well, luckily, the Bhagavad Gita doesn't end with 12:8. There's verse 9, okay? So let's go on to verse 9. I'll just read the English, that's okay. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation. So raise your hand if you cannot fix your mind on Krishna without deviation. Okay, good. There's a unanimous group. Okay. Okay, so what do? He tells us, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, you will develop a desire to attain me. So already there's 2 levels, isn't it? You're always thinking of me. If you can't do that, he says, and follow the regulated principles of bhakti, you develop a desire to attain me. Okay? So everyone here, we're endeavoring, according to our capacity, to follow the rules of bhakti. But what about the people that come on Sunday or come for Artik or something like that? Not all of them are following the rules of bhakti. So therefore, we're getting Krishna's mercy and the others are useless, yeah? No? If it was, it would end with 12:9. Right? But there's more verses, right? Let's see what else Krishna says. Okay, 12:10. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, you know anybody like that? Raise your hand if you know any people that aren't able to follow practices of Bhakti Yoga. You know anybody in the whole world? Maybe your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your college professors, your neighbor, right? The guy that brings milk, etc. So many people, right? Okay. So it says, if you can't do that, then just try to work for me. because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So he says, think of me always. If you can't do that, follow bhakti. If you can't do that, then work for him. Like we know there's a lot of people, I know sometimes in the West, in our temples and ashrams, sometimes the people, they come, they live nearby, they work at the temple, or they volunteer at the temple. They're not following all their practices. Maybe they don't come for Mangalarti. Sometimes they don't even follow all the principles, or they might come and do some seva. They might do some service of some kind. So Krishna says, that's good. If you work for him, you'll come to the perfect stage, okay? So then the Bhagavad Gita stops there. Everybody else is finished, right? Kumbhipaka for everybody else, right? They all go to the lower planets, right? No. There's more. Krishna says, if, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. So he says, even if you can't connect with him, do this. Give up the results of your work and try to be self-situated. Okay? So the Supreme Personality of God is saying, if you can't think of me, practice bhakti. If you can't practice bhakti, work for me. If you can't work for me, give up the results of your activities. Now I'll read some of that purport in a minute, but I want to read 12:12 next. If you cannot take to this practice, giving up some things, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Okay, in other words, he's saying that giving up things is a product of knowledge. If you're not able to give things up, work for some higher cause, then your knowledge is not so fixed. So cultivate knowledge. Then he says, better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation is the renunciation of fruits of work, for by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. So he's giving different levels. And in the 11th chapter, 11th text, there's a very interesting purport. I'll read half of the purport. Prabhupada says, this is the verse that says, if you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up the results of your work, okay? I don't know if you can pull that up on the screen. This is the middle of the purport. We'll start where it says, it is also found. See that there? About halfway down. I don't know who's working the magic machine. Is it there? Okay. He's got it? Okay. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. Oh, let's stop there. Sometimes among ourselves, we kind of talk about, we're doing some hospital work. Useless. Sometimes we're a little harsh like that. You know, they should just do everything for Krishna. Or somebody's supporting some charity or something. We just kind of basically think if you're not in pure devotional service, there's no benefit. Sometimes we think like that. And of course, sometimes even Prabhupada will speak harshly like that because he's trying to discriminate between material activities and spiritual activities. But here we see Krishna's perspective, and Prabhupada's expanding it in his purport for us to better understand. So to continue, I'll read that again. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social activity, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here. So Krishna is also recommending that. Krishna says it's a good thing because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually. And in that purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience. It's not like you got to go give money to a hospital for 2 lifetimes before you can become a devotee. Or, you all have to go out and, make 5 crores of rupees and give it to some, village reforestation project before you can become a Vaishnava. That's not the point here, But because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's minds. But if there are impediments to accepting Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the results of his actions. Is it there? Yeah. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrifice for one's country, etc., may be accepted, so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 1846, we find it is stated, Yata pavritir bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Bicharnini Nirvasesha Shinabhari Pastatanita. So I just want to share a few reflections for a few minutes and then leave time for questions. And we're supposed to quit at 3:15 and I have to go to another meeting there too. But so the topic is loyalty and broad-mindedness. So we understand as Vaishnavas that the perfection of our lives is to awaken our love for Krishna. That's a whole other topic. You're having classes for 2-3 years on that. Maybe one or two of the topics the last couple days is the same thing. So let's just say that's accepted, okay? That we all share in that belief. The best and topmost thing we can do is to awaken our love for Krishna. We should be loyal to that. So like you mentioned in the introduction, I do a lot of interfaith work, okay? We have Vaishnava Christian dialogues. We have Vaishnava Muslim dialogues. Next week I'm speaking at the World Parliament of Religions on a panel with some Sikh people. My wife's also going. She's on a panel talking about the spiritual contribution of women saints from the Vaishnava tradition, the Christian tradition, I think Buddhist tradition, and one other, okay? So we interact with people who have deep faith and realization in their own tradition. You can't really do that work if you're not rooted deeply in your own. If you talk with people from different religious traditions, to have it be a serious discussion, you have to have deep roots in your own tradition or you can't exchange. You get blown by the wind. The purpose of dialoguing with people from other traditions is how do I learn more about them? They can learn something about me. Perhaps I can gain some insights about God by hearing from their tradition. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur was referencing in that quote we heard. Hopefully they can learn some things from me. So, but you can't do that if you're not loyal, if you're not deeply committed and convinced of our own tradition. So the loyalty has to be there. But the loyalty to the tradition doesn't necessarily mean it shouldn't mean that one's narrow-minded about understanding other people. There's a nice example that my dear friend Garuda Prabhu, Dr. Graham Schwag, he's a professor of religion at university in North America, also Prabhupada disciple. And he gives the example about religious traditions, and then I'll talk about other things in a minute. But he gives the example, if someone was to stand up here, let's say I stood up here and I said, my mother is a wonderful woman. And Krishna bless her, she's passed away, but let's say I just said she's a wonderful woman. She sacrificed for me. When I was sick, she took care of me. She used to drive me to school, and on the days when the weather was bad and she cooked for me every day, I can go on so many nice things. And you all might be thinking, oh, that's very nice. He sounds like he has a nice mother. She took good care of him. She sacrificed, okay? Nobody's offended by that. Now, if I stand up here and say, my mother is so nice, your mother's nothing compared to my mother. In fact, none of your mothers comes even close to my mother. In fact, compared to my mother, your mothers don't even count. They have no realization of motherhood. They didn't know how to take care, etc., etc., etc. How would you feel about that? In the first case, you feel, inspired, Anuttam had a nice mother. But if I raise up my mother, I put down yours, how do you feel? Anybody like to hear that? No, not at all. You at some point, if I got too carried away, you'd get up and walk away. Why is he saying offensive things? So in the same way, we can be loyal to our tradition, doesn't mean we should be disrespectful of other people's traditions. I'll give another example. There's a man named Dr. Shana Kirmani, very dear friend of mine. He's Muslim. And he spoke recently at the Harvard University. You ever heard of Harvard University? Okay. So we had a 50th anniversary celebration of ISKCON at the Center for the Study of World Religions at Harvard University, and he spoke. And he explained he was at Harvard as a student when Srila Prabhupada came there in 1968. Prabhupada went to Harvard University and spoke. And Dr. Kirmani was explaining to the group, because we met in the same room. And he was saying it was in this room, and Prabhupada was there, and I was walking down the hall as a student. And he went on to speak very nicely about Srila Prabhupada and how impressed he was with his teachings. And then another event, he actually stood up and read a poem in Bengali that he had written in glorification of Srila Prabhupada. And he personally told me, he said, you know, it's funny, he said, I'm a Muslim, I'm a believing Muslim, but when I feel some difficulty in life, I think of him, Srila Prabhupada. Okay? Now, in my mind, that shouldn't cause some big problem for me. Well, if you like Prabhupada, you can't be a Muslim. If you're Muslim, how can you like Prabhupada? Who am I to make that? It's like saying, if I like my mother, does that mean I have to dislike your mother? Can I love my mother and appreciate your mother? Can I appreciate all the wonderful things that she's done for you? Isn't it? So this is one of the symptoms of broad-mindedness, okay? That one understands that Krishna is unlimited and he works in many different ways, in many different lives, okay? So it's like we know Paramatma is there, he's in everyone's heart. It's not just that he's in my heart or he's in your heart, right? Or he's only in the heart of the members of the youth Sangha. If you're over 30, forget it. Paramatma is not there, right? Or if you don't speak Hindi, he's not there. All those Tamil speakers, I don't know who's guiding them, but it's not Paramatma, right? We don't think like that, do we? Or we don't think, oh, Paramatma is only in your heart if you take birth in India. Do we think like that? What about all the Indians that took birth in North America, even though they're Indian, right? Etc. And what about the original Indians that take birth in America, the Native American, they call them Indians, right? So Krishna's there in everyone's heart, and he's guiding everyone according to our willingness to listen. So part of broad-mindedness, described devotee, a Mahatma, one who's broad-minded, he sees the Lord acting in everyone's life. He tries to see like that, or she tries to see like that. And in a similar way, as described here, very important, we should be very, very loyal to this instruction of Krishna. Just think of me, fix your mind upon me. We should give our lives to fixing our mind upon him. But that doesn't mean that people that can't do that are rejected. Isn't it? Let's say he's such a great sadhu here. His mind's fixed on Krishna. Okay, I pray that is today or tomorrow. So his mind is fixed on Krishna. So does that mean that the rest of us who are practicing bhakti, he doesn't appreciate us? Does he through his fixing his mind on Krishna, now all of a sudden does he realize Krishna doesn't care for the rest of us practicing sadhana bhakti? Krishna cares for those that are practicing sadhana bhakti. And according to this, Krishna says, even if you can't practice bhakti, then what does he say? Work for me. Right? Even if you're not strictly following bhakti, chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regular principles, giving your life and service, he says still, work for me, and you'll make progress. If you can't even do that, then give up the results of your work. And in this purport, Prabhupada says some very interesting things. He says, in that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrifice for one's country may be accepted so that someday one will gradually come to the perfect stage. Now, does that mean someone's practicing bhakti yoga and some strictly and seriously and someone else joins the army? Is that the same? Do we tell all of you, okay, you have a choice. Best way to please Krishna, you practice bhakti or join the Indian army? Would we say that? No, we'd say better. Of course, if you're practicing bhakti, you're in the army, that's great too. But if you have the two choices, clearly, better you practice bhakti. Better than practicing bhakti is you fix your mind on Krishna. But if you can't do that, then practice bhakti. If you can't do that, then work for him. If you can't do that, then give up your time, your money, your effort for some good cause. So we have to be very loyal to our practice. We have to become very, very convinced of the richness and the truth and the wonderful value of our Vaishnava culture and Krishna consciousness and Bhakti Yoga and the presence of the deities and the beauty of the whole chanting the holy name, all these different aspects, we need to become convinced and therefore loyal to those things. And at the same time, we should be becoming more broad-minded. Okay? So if we see someone who's, we see someone who's making some sacrifice for their family. Okay? Now, on the one hand, we think, oh, these people sometimes are so materially attached. True, oftentimes. And we don't want to be overly attached. But at the same time, that quality of sacrificing, that's a good thing. Sometimes we meet people that are giving their lives to some cause, like, say, vegetarianism. Okay? Now, we would say, that's nice. Pigeons are also vegetarian, so it's not so good. But it's good you're teaching people to live nonviolent lives. You're sacrificing your time and your money for a good cause. We appreciate that. We value that. At the same time, we would offer to people that we believe the best thing is you become a pure Krishna bhakti. Okay? If you can't do that, then okay, you can, these other things are also very, very helpful. So we have this broad-mindedness. And then, with that kind of broad-mindedness, we can build wonderful relationships with people, and we can partner with other people and other organizations. Again, if I come to you and I say, my mother is wonderful, you say your mother is wonderful, okay, we can have some nice discussion about what did you learn from your mother? What did I learn from my mother? We can make progress together. Maybe we can put a plaque up, congratulations to the mothers of the world. Okay, we can cooperate. But if I come in and say, my mother is the best, you say, no, my mother's the best. No, my mother's the best. No, my mother's, then what happens? We just fight. So the whole world's full of people fighting. But unfortunately, most of them don't even follow what their mother taught them. Their mother taught them, first thing, don't fight. But they're fighting. So that's false ego. That's pride. That's pride. The world's full of people that are artificially, superficially proud of their religion, their race, their gender, their national origin, their community, whatever, falsely pride. But the first teaching of Bhagavad Gita, we're just passing through. I'm not American, I just took birth there. Sorry, I apologize. You're not Indian, you just took birth there for a few years. Next life, who knows where you'll go. So, we can't be falsely proud of these things or attached to these things, these externals, but we should have a broad-minded view of appreciating other people's contributions, and then we can actually become very powerful as a community, because we can encourage people. We can encourage people to take the next step. We can encourage people to be more serious. Whatever they are doing, whatever piety is there in their life, oh, that's very good. Just like in the West, sometimes people, they come in contact with our movement and they'll say things like, I quit eating red meat. I only eat fish. Maybe you hear that in Bengal. They talk like that, right? They eat fish. So okay, we can say, oh, so you're eating fish still? Oh, that's nonsense. You're useless. Or we can say, oh, you stop eating other kinds of meat. Very good. Good, well done, good job, good step. Now here's the next step. Isn't it? Some people more slow, some people more fast. But if we just say, oh, that's useless, you may know the story, Shyama Sundar Prabhu, when he was a devotee, I have to check this. I'm not sure if he was already initiated. I'm pretty sure he was. But he was still smoking. He was actually carving the deities. Prabhupada asked him to carve the Jagannath deities. And Prabhupada came to see him. He had a pack of cigarettes, I think on the head of the deities. What an offense. Can you imagine the chowkidar came in one morning, there was a pack of cigarettes on top of, oh my goodness, you'd be beaten to many pieces. Right? But Prabhupada, you know what Prabhupada told him? First he said, don't let such a little thing come between you and Krishna. And then he told him, smoke one less every day. Usually in the box, at least in America, they come 20 in a box. So one day 20 you smoke, then 19, then 18, then so slowly. He's the, founder Charya of ISKCON, basically giving him permission. Okay, you smoked 19 cigarettes today. Basically. Of course, that wasn't what he wanted. But why was he speaking like that? Because he wanted to encourage him to make progress. Okay? And the best way to help people make progress is you catch them doing things right, and you help them understand how they can improve. But if you just point out what's wrong, I don't know if you've ever had a bhakti leader or an ashram leader who's very expert at showing what you do wrong, but can't see anything you do right. Usually those are the kind of people that you don't stay. If this is ISKCON, I don't want to be here just for this person to like be cruel to me. I'm inspired by someone who appreciates the good. Maybe he points out some things I can improve. That's good. A coach, teacher has to do that. But they also have to show us what we do well. So as a community, we need to be very loyal to our tradition, but broad-minded enough to be able to say, oh, you gave up eating meat, great. So now give up the rest of it. Okay, so you were smoking, okay, so smoke less. That's good, you're making progress. You came to the temple once last year. Oh, that's really good. Maybe this year twice. You know, something. What's the next thing to make some progress, you know? Because we know Krishna is there, and if they come in contact with Krishna, there's progress. And Krishna says here, even if they do a little sacrifice, give money to some charity. You know, someone's giving some money to some charity. We shouldn't be envious and think, oh, they're wasting their money. No, they don't have much knowledge, as much, you know. I mean, those things are needed too. We need hospitals, we need people digging wells, we need all those things. But we have to be careful in our lifting up of Krishna consciousness. We don't unnecessarily diminish or not value other things. Just like I've seen in our society, in the early years, many of our sannyasis, they were young men, 22, 23, 24 years old. And very much their focus was on, you know, neti. You know, this is all Maya. I don't know how it's like in India, but these days in the West, if you have a wedding, if you don't have at least 3 sannyasis come, it's like low-class wedding. Because they all want to come and give blessings. And the young men and women, they're like, please, Maharaj, please come. Please come and bless us. And the sannyasis, I think, in their maturity now, they're senior. Our role is to bless. It's not just to condemn. When they were young men, it's understandable. You know, you have to be careful. But they're seen in a more broad-minded way. Marriage is a way to become detached. It's a process, so it's a good thing. So in a similar way, sometimes people, they're taking lesser steps. Any of you older brothers, you have younger brothers or sisters? Raise your hand. Okay, so let's say you're 2-3 years ahead of them. Whatever, you're studying, just say, whatever, algebra. They're studying basic mathematics. Do you come home at the end of the day and say, your work is stupid? You're only learning multiplication? That's useless? That's nothing? You should learn algebra? Would you say that to your brother or sister? Of course not. That'd be a terrible thing to say. Because you see they're at a different stage. And you tell, oh, that's wonderful. You know, I was with one of the devotees, a little girl the other day. She was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 12, 17, 22. You know, she didn't have it quite right. But she was trying. She got the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's very good. Keep doing it. But if you say, no, forget it. Even at 3 years old, why should I bother learning? You just criticize me. So in the same way as Vaishnavas, you know, we have to teach the highest goal. We have to be loyal to the highest goal. At the same time, be broad-minded. Appreciate other people's steps. Appreciate whatever they're doing. In a humble mood. Understanding that I don't know when I'm going to go back to Godhead. Could take 1 lifetime, 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes. Somebody else could walk in the door today, go back to Godhead tomorrow. Do I know? Some new person walks in here today, you know, like whatever, crazy impersonalist philosophy, materialistic person, crazy hairdo, painted red, whatever they do in India these days, big motorcycle, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, look at this materialistic person. This person might be a guru in our movement in 20 years, and I might still be, you know, trying to, like, struggling to chant my japa every day. Anybody know? Can you say somebody comes here who they are? We don't know. All we know is that every single one of the people that comes in here, that lives outside, that walks by and goes, oh, useless, religion, useless. That person's a devotee, that we know. But they've forgotten, isn't it? The person who comes brand new time, they're a devotee. The person who's coming every Sunday, they're a devotee. The little child's a devotee. The old man's a devotee. The bird's a devotee. Isn't it? So we want to help everybody make progress. That's the mood of Prabhupada. We want to be loyal to that and be very, very loyal. Go deep in our own tradition and not be distracted by different ideas, but understanding. Okay, somebody wants to build a hospital. We shouldn't be confused. Oh, maybe that's better than Krishna consciousness. No, ultimately, we need spiritual solutions. But we're also in the material world. And somebody with no spiritual knowledge at all sacrifices for that. That's a good thing. They're learning to be a little selfless. And of course, if somebody's a Vaishnava, that's a whole other thing. Like in Mumbai, a bunch of devotees get together and make a hospital. Well, that's devotional service. It addresses material and spiritual needs. So that's devotional service. It's as good as whatever I'm doing or you're doing, a different category. But be loyal and be broad-minded. Okay? Everybody see those fit together? So we have questions. We have about 15 minutes for questions. Yes, Prabhu. I think they're going to get a microphone for you.
Hare Krishna. Guruji, like we often observe that for practice one thing, we have to take help from other things. For
practice, we have to take help from others. Yes.
For example, we want to practice Bhakti Yoga, but we take help from Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Varna Ashram, everything. Now, verses of Bhagavad Gita are here. Now we have to practice regulative principles. So we are practicing to a certain degree, but we are not so steady sometime. Then also we are working and offering the results to Krishna. So now, as an practicing devotee, following the regulative principles, what is expected, and offering the results of the work. Doing this, should we also take help from the following shloka that we should announce the result of our activities for some social cause, like charity for the hospitals, that was mentioned in the purport. When such opportunities knock our door, not at the cost of Krishna consciousness, should we go for giving charity for hospitals, etc., so that our selflessness tendency can grow up, which can contribute to our Krishna consciousness?
No, because Prabhupada's mentioned here, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on another thing. So it's not like we should think, okay, well he says here I should have to, I should take time out from the ashram, go do some social service. Now I have to go do some community service. Now we have to do some national service. Prabhupada says, no, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on these things. These are preliminary things in terms of spiritual life. And at the same time, it depends on one's situation. If one is say one's a grahasta and has children, to be involved in the children's education, that's a mandatory thing as a parent. It's part of our Krishna conscious duty. We have spiritual needs, we have social needs, we have emotional needs, we have family needs, we have physical needs. It's just like we sleep every day. Okay, so why do we sleep? Ultimately because we know the body belongs to Krishna, I need to give it strength so I can do service. The materialistic person is also sleeping. The difference is we're trying to understand how to connect that with Krishna. So if someone again is a grahasta, then they have different kind of responsibilities. Maybe it's their duty, they need to go. Their child that goes to a certain school and the parents all come and do some volunteer service. So you can go, you do that volunteer service and you think, Krishna, I'm doing this for you because this is your daughter, she's not really mine, I'm just taking care of her. So for her best interest, I'm going to offer some service. It's ultimately for you. That makes sense? Just like if you're devotee, let's say where I live, the people have like private homes, or here so many private homes, like here, and it's nice, so much grass out in front. So if you're a household in America, you have a lawn, you got to mow your lawn. Okay? So you should think, this house belongs to Krishna, I'm mowing it for Krishna. Now you don't need 100 hectares for your lawn. You can have something reasonable, but you're probably going to have a lawn. So you do it for Krishna. Okay? Devotees should be, we should be the best citizens. We should be the best employees. We should be the best employers. We should be the best neighbors. Like, they have buses. Anybody here take a bus? I feel like, people that should, the bus drivers should wait anxiously for the Vaishnavas to get on the bus. Because they know every Vaishnava gets on the bus is going to look them in the eye and say, Hare Krishna, good morning, how are you? And really care. You having a good day? You're a god brother, you're a god sister, you're a devotee of Krishna. I'm concerned. Are you doing okay? Can I give you some prasadam? Can I at least wish you a nice day? Materialistic people, there's a tendency, Either somebody helps you, they hurt you, or they don't exist. Isn't it? If you can help me, then you're my friend. If you're a threat to me, it's like, oh, you're some competition. Otherwise, I don't care about anybody. But devotees, every single person is a part and parcel of Krishna. So everyone we interact with, there should be some little glimmer of Krishna consciousness. Another question? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the purport we see, we came across social activities, charity, and when we go for book distribution or some collecting Vidyadan for distributing Bhagavad Gitas, then we come across, no, we don't give for ISKCON. We distribute, we donate money for some other organizations.
People tell you that. Yeah.
How to explain that?
That's very nice. You should also give to this. That's very nice. That's very good. Are you helping feed children? Wonderful. We do that too. You're helping build a hospital. That's very nice. We do that too. You're helping to fix the roads in the street. Very nice. The roads need so much work. In addition to that, you should give something directly to Krishna. This is directly for a spiritual benefit. These other things are also very good. You should also give to this. You're not going to meet anybody that's given so much charity, they can't give 100 rupees for a book. There's no such selfless person in the world that's given everything they possibly can. So, is that okay?
So, in that case, we give some prasadam and we move ahead. We give some prasadam to them and we'll move ahead.
If they don't take a book. Okay.
But we don't collect any donation.
Yeah, good.
And,
So they get a little purified, maybe they'll take next time.
so, can we approach them for the next time in future?
Yeah, why not? Why not? You don't have to go back the same day. You remember me, I gave you that little prasadam a couple hours ago. It's purifying. Has it worked yet? You can try it. I don't know if that'll work very well. Yeah. Other question? Way in the back.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So once I was talking to one very senior devotee, and the discussion was going on there, how he was doing that some changes to the Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said he will not teach the government syllabus, and we all the Sanskrit mathematics, etc. So I said that senior devotee, that if the children get to attend these schools run by ISKCON devotees, although they are having government services, the point is that children are still, Guru has created an environment led by devotees, schools, although government services. The senior devotee was still thinking that he has not taken responsibility at ISKCON of all the children of ISKCON. So if he has that, if they are not convinced to send their children to the Prabhupada's mood style ISKCON school, where they are only taught Sanskrit and mathematics and English, then they are not taking responsibility of their children, they are going to go to school for them and learn government syllabus and protect them. That is not our responsibility. See how I hope you...
Yeah, I'm not sure if I completely understood. Let me try to answer it with a different perspective. Was this a Grahasta was making that point, or a sannyasi was making that point? Sannyasi. With all due respect, sannyasis generally are not expert at raising children. They're expert at renouncing children, which is a very good thing. The world needs that, So, raising children is not an easy thing. And Prabhupada said, the most important thing is you raise them with love. Okay? And I don't know if they talk about this much in India, but in America they talk a lot about sometimes parents. Let's say I wanted to be a big football star, and I'm not successful. And then I have a son. From the day he's born, I want him to be a football star. And I push him. But actually he likes music. I don't let him play music. He has to do football. Okay? He grows up not liking me. He grows up not liking football, and he grows up not liking music because I denied it to him, and he grows up probably not liking the world. So if I'm a loving parent, even though I love football, I should see my son or my daughter loves music. Yeah? Let them become the best musician they can. If I'm a Vaishnava, if my son loves football, let me teach him how to do football for Krishna. Let me teach him how to be a musician for Krishna. Let me teach him, Prabhupada says many places, you want to make money for Krishna. You want to be an architect for Krishna. So our movement, again, it's broad-minded. There's many different types of people, many different moods, many different interests. So the thing that we uniquely add to education, I would humbly say, is we teach people how to add bhakti. Now, I don't know, internal government syllabus, this, that, I can't comment on that. But I would point out historically, we did great disservice in the early years to many of our children because we didn't offer them a well-rounded education. And when they grew up, they knew a few things, but they didn't really know how to live in a successful way in the world. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur said this world is like a train. There's two tracks. There's your material needs and there's the spiritual needs. And we have to take care of both of them. Otherwise, if there's only one track, what happens to the train? Crashes. So we know the whole society is ignoring generally ignoring spiritual life, and society across the world is in a lot of trouble. Okay? But similarly, in the early days of our movement, we thought, just take care of the spiritual side. Don't take care of the material needs. Don't necessarily take care of people's health. Don't necessarily make sure the children get a really good education. Don't make sure the mothers have sufficient time to spend with their children. Just take care of the spiritual things. It was immature. Well-intended, but immature. So, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one who is moderate, or sometimes it's translated balanced, in eating, sleeping, working, and what? Recreation. Sometimes we ignore that one. Recreation means to recreate, to reinvigorate. We need to do things to reinvigorate ourselves. And if you're Grahastha, and I can speak, I'm a Grahastha, part of the duty of Grahastha is make sure our children get a very good education. Spiritual and material needs to be balanced. And different people can have different propensities. So the secret is to give them Krishna, but to make sure we also understand a little bit what's their nature, to give them opportunities to fulfill that. And then they'll be happy, we'll be happy, and the world will be benefited. So we have to be careful we're not unrealistic. A lot of the very first generation of children, they went away very unhappy and very angry and very frustrated. And that's to our karma. That's our bad karma. So the first thing is make sure the children feel loved and fully equip them with everything necessary. One quick story. Prabhupada was speaking in New Vrindavan one evening outdoors. Many devotees around. Prabhupada noticed one of the ladies, she was a little shivering, a little cold. Prabhupada said to the temple president, he said, why does she not have a chadar? He said, this is your responsibility. He said, she's a Vaishnav. She will not ask for herself. But it's your duty to make sure her needs are taken care of. So what's a chadar? It's a piece of cloth. Is it a spiritual need? Not directly, right? But in Prabhupada's eyes, taking care of the devotees' material needs, our children's material needs, educational needs, those things are all equally valid because the train runs on two tracks. It's okay? Little follow-up, okay? You have the mic, so none of us can stop you.
Prabhuji, as that dude is telling, that yes, if their taste is for football or for music, let that happen and let them go ahead. But ISKCON should not run schools on government syllabus just to facilitate. They can go out with the different schools and all that. And not ISKCON need to run schools with government syllabus, which Prabhupada himself has said, no.
Yeah,
So
I can't
then how-
comment on that because I don't know what the requirements are. I mean, like in where I live in America, there's different requirements. You can have schools where there's certain government requirements. Your kids have to go and take tests every so often. So even you have a very Krishna conscious school, you have to teach history, social science, etc. If you don't, they close you down. So time, place, and circumstance. But the thing I would just caution is that, when we look at Prabhupada's instructions on these things, one, we have to look at all of his instructions. Sometimes we take one instruction. Like you can read the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, let there be one mantra, one God, one book. So you read that, okay, that's it. Everything's finished. Nothing else has value. But then you read the 4th chapter in the purport, and Prabhupada says Krishna comes again and again. He doesn't just come on Indian soil. Sometimes he sends his son, sometimes himself in disguised form, Lord Chaitanya, right? And sometimes he sends his servant. In other places he talks about how Jesus, he refers to Jesus Christ and Muhammad as Shaktivesh avatars. So here one place he says only one book, well, the other books don't seem to have meaning, other places, etc. So we have to look at all of it, and I would say see through the eyes, in part, see through the eyes of these verses, which is looking for anything that helps people make a little step towards Krishna, that's valuable. It's not the same. Somebody comes here and says, Prabhu, I need instructions, my life is a mess. Should I drive a taxi, or should I surrender to Krishna? Now, somebody could say, oh, Prabhu, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says just render service to others, so become a taxi driver. I would argue they didn't understand it properly. We know what the higher thing is. But people that are, not able to do that, then we welcome them. Please take the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. Is that okay? Okay. It was time for one more question? Yes, over here. We'll try to do 2. I can stay maybe, I can leave at 3:20. What time? Can you stay till 3:20? You need to leave 3:15, Paka. 3:20. Okay. Okay, so real quick, we'll try.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, one thing I could not understand from your lecture, I wanted to ask you. You were telling different levels in which one thing was that working for the Krishna, and second one was that giving up our results of the activities for Krishna. So is it giving up of the results, is it some social service, or endeavor to become selfless, or something else? I could not understand that one.
Yeah, well, it's directly in here from Krishna in the 12th chapter. Go back and read those verses and study those closely. He says, first, just think of me. Second, if you can't do that, practice bhakti. Third, work for me, for him directly. Fourth, if you can't work for me directly, then give up. Do some kind of sacrifice. Something that's a little selfless. So it's a step in the right direction. So there's a difference. You see the difference there? Okay. And then there was one here. Actually, sorry, I saw him behind you first. While the mic's coming, why don't you start and I'll repeat it. Oh, here it comes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I was asking and sometimes we are trying to cultivate some people, some big sorts, and then it is taking a lot of time. And on the other side, the feeling also comes, why I am wasting my time, money will come anyway. Rather I can just catch some people who are ready to take up Krishna consciousness fast.
So you spend a lot of time cultivating someone, and then what happens?
Some big sorts so that they can become a well-wisher and contribute to the temple financial needs.
Okay.
And
you're cultivating important people, hoping they'll make a significant support. Yeah?
On the other side, I can just catch some people in the temple and please them, give them directly book and tell them about attending some program so that they can be directly cultivated in Krishna consciousness.
Okay.
So there is always a struggle in the mind why I should waste time for cultivating some big shot to get some money. Money will come anyway.
Are you a big shot?
No, I am.
Are you a big shot?
No.
No. Yeah?
No.
So if someone wasted their time cultivating you. Yeah?
Yes.
If you're a big shot, that's good. But if you're not, that means somebody spent their time cultivating you. So was that a waste of time?
No. But
No,
sometimes
okay.
you feel
You answered the question. So I would say the management's decision, how much energy we put here, how much energy we put there, according to our various resources. So, we put a lot of energy into book distribution, but sometimes we have big festivals, right? There's a Rath Yatra card here, so sometimes you kind of slow down book distribution for a couple of days to have Rath Yatra, then you try to sell a lot of books. So that's kind of a management question, how do we balance all of those things? But they're all valuable. It's not just, and this has got to be the vision of a Vaishnava. In fact, I remember, I think I was in Mumbai, and one of the big shots was explaining how he was coming to temples and noticing that they only paid attention to the big shots. And he stopped coming. Because he said, if you care about people, you don't care about their social status, how much money they can give. If you only care about the person who has a lot of money, what does that mean? What do you care about? You care about money. But if you care about people, then you try to care about everybody. Now, of course, we understand practically there's people that are affluent, they're expect to be treated in a certain way, like that. So we're sensitive to those things. But in our heart, we should remember, what's the story over here with Lord Ramachandra, the old lady who gave him the half-eaten fruit? What's her name?
Sabri.
Famous story, right? So was she important to Lord Ramachandra? Was she a big shot? She was not a big shot. So in our hearts, we should not discriminate. But sometimes in terms of practical things, you make special arrangements for people that are, government minister comes here, we make special arrangements. But in our heart, we should think the chauffeur and the minister, what's the difference? No difference. The way governments are these days, who knows? Next week the chauffeur will be the minister will be the chauffeur, Isn't it? Crazy world. You're holding the mic like you had another question, or? That's all right? Okay, real quick.
Prabhuji, I wanted to ask, the sequence of verses over here, Krishna's talking about giving work. So, the Varnashram system, social system was there in the Vedic times. That facilitates gradual elevation. According to the teachings of Prabhupada, is the same thing possible in today's social
why
system?
not? I mean, even more importantly, Varnashram is kind of, Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya, it's an external system. The real system is bhakti. Now, to what extent, how Varnashram is going to manifest within ISKCON, a lot of discussions about that. But whether that's there or not there, the principle of bhakti and people gradually making progress in spiritual life, that's always there. That's always there.
So even giving charity according to Varnashram does elevate. This same thing today, if somebody gives
any
charity.
kind of charity. Prabhupada doesn't say according to Varnashram, any kind of charity is a good thing.
It elevates.
Yeah, but it's slow.
Yes.
I mean, for us, please don't get confused here.
Obvious.
It's slow.
Yes.
And if you want to say, I just Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, to give a little charity, that's just as good as bhakti, that's fine, but then you might have another 1,000 lifetimes in the material world. But it's still valuable. That's the thing. We shouldn't see there's no value, but because we're blessed with higher knowledge, that's the loyalty part. We focus on the direct process of Krishna consciousness, and to whatever extent someone can directly take to Krishna consciousness, we appreciate that. But somebody that's doing some other pious things, I mentioned social services, we see, okay, that's also going to help them become a little bit. Because a lot of times if someone is angry and bitter and selfish, it's very hard to talk about love of God. But if somebody's working really hard to help the country or to help the family or help the neighbors, and you say, gosh, that's wonderful, that's great. Bhagavad Gita says what you're doing is actually a beautiful thing. What if you learn to love the original person the same way you love your family? See, they're open to that. Just like in the beginning of the Gita, Krishna chastises Arjuna as a fool because he's attached. What are you worried about your grandfather? That you're speaking like a fool. But in the purport, Prabhupada says because of his soft-heartedness, he was qualified to hear the Gita. So he was like soft-heartedly foolish and qualified because of it. Yeah. So Just add Krishna. That's the most important thing. Okay, thank you very much. A pleasure to be with all of you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in a transcendental way here. And on behalf of the whole GBC, if we don't get officially thank you, I want to thank everybody for all your help in facilitating the meetings and being part of Prabhupada's movement. It's very inspiring to see so many bright, intelligent faces, and to know that you're trying to understand better how to change the world. Prabhupada said our movement is meant to bring about a re-spiritualization of a misguided civilization. That's a pretty tall order. And let's do that both in the mood of deep loyalty and broad-mindedness. It will be more effective. Okay? Effective. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.